Hello and welcome back to another episode of Tech Champions. I'm your host, Daniel Beaty, CTO with AuditMax in Jacksonville, Florida. As you know, we take time each week to sit down with thought leaders and industry experts. We love to hear about their journey and their mission and get their perspective on the latest trends in the industry. We always have amazing guests on our show. Today is no exception. Joining us from Texas is Christian Cook. Christian, welcome to the show. You bet, yeah. So, Christian, you graduated from Strayer University. You have your MBA. You're currently the VP of IT at Stratus Neuro. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey to this point and your current role at Stratus Neuro?
Sure. It's been a pretty mixed bag. I like to say I'm one of those IT guys that never specialized in any one specific item. So I'm kind of an overall generalist. I've been an application developer. I've been a network engineer. I've been a security guy. So bad for my IT departments because I know a little bit about what they do, about what everyone does. But what's also bad for my IT departments is that I'm not an expert on probably anything. So I started way back when on an actual help desk. Just over the years, worked my way up the ranks.
Yeah, that's great. I actually got my start on a help desk as well. I answered calls from attorneys in Atlanta, 24/7. So it was a lot of fun. Some of them were great and some were not so great, but it was trial by fire. Actually, I love that. Look back now and I love those years because I learned so much so fast. But let's dive into some of the details on the work you guys do at Stratus Neuro. And I specifically found that concept of the in-home EEG interesting. Can you talk to our audience a little bit about that, what you guys are doing there?
Yeah, so it's a little bit different. It's not just EEG, it's video EEG. So we actually go into people's homes, and in some cases hospitals as well. But we'll go into people's homes, we set up video cameras, we set up the whole EEG device on your head. And we do anywhere from 24 to 72 hour recordings, what the physician has recorded. And then like I said, we have somebody go out there that sets you up, gives you a device where anytime you feel as though something has happened neurologically, you can hit a button and it tracks that along with it. But we're doing recording of brain scan recordings for the entire time. At the end of the time, somebody actually comes and disconnects you, and then we upload that data to another group here that reviews it to see if there were any brain anomalies, any anomalies from the scan at that time, and then it goes off to the neurologist as a final review and report. So, an interesting thing for us is that our business has always been remote. It happens in, like I said, in patients' homes. And so COVID, although it has impacted some of our volume, for example, it hasn't really impacted how we conduct our business.
Okay, yeah, that's great. I was going to ask, was the in-home concept born out of COVID-19 and the pandemic, or was that was something you guys were doing already?
Yeah, it's something we were doing already. I think it gives us the ability to be a little bit more patient focused. It's more comfortable for them to be in their home. They don't have to go to a hospital and get set up there and hang out in the hospital for a few days. It's a multi-day scan. It's cheaper for the healthcare industry in general for us to be able to come to your home. And again, it's all about patient comfort and having technology. So,
Yeah, that's great. I love the concept there, and I wanted to ask you about something else too, and spend a few minutes on that GuideMed application we talked about before in our pre-call. And that the opioid epidemic is obviously a huge health issue across the entire United States, and a lot of us have been affected by that, and just so many people, and tragically, really. And we normally think of addressing that, at least I do, in terms of policies and laws and that type of approach. But you and your team actually helped work on an app to help with that epidemic. And can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so before I came to Stratus Neuro, I was at a company called Miltrack RX. It has an ownership of the PE firm that this company also has an ownership in that lab as well. But we did toxicology and infectious disease testing. Um, but we had, physicians would ask for obviously reports on their toxicology patients or patients that were on a chronic opioid regimen. They had chronic pain and they were constantly taking pain medication. We started tracking the results of all of these things and the reasons why they were on pain meds and how the results were these. Well, so we started offering we developed a small package at first. It wasn't really anything earth shattering, but it just kind of it did a risk assessment for a patient. We started doing our CSAs, which are controlled substance agreements between a patient and a physician. And we would just go to a physician and say, okay, you're a patient, Jane Smith. This was her risk. We think that she's likely to adhere to the prescriptions that you give her. But as we kind of got more and more data, we started being able to track additional things as we get a bigger data set. We were actually starting to see better patterns in our data, and so we were able to go to physicians with much more accuracy over time and say, look, Jane Smith, we believe that there's a risk that she may go from an opioid user to an opioid user. And we would back up that with data. And then again, as more and more physicians were opting into this program and this application, again, the data set got wider and wider and wider. And we were able to start doing some analytics based on some population-based analytics, where it got to the point where I can tell you that the person that is most likely to use opioids is a 37-year-old female with nondescript knee pain in a specific zip code in West Virginia. And so, the government started actually looking into that and into our application, and we really started, as we were doing stats for specific hospital systems, we could really see that with the data that we were providing, the physicians obviously could manage them better because they knew that they were or were not at risk, and we could really see abuse levels going down in patients that were part of this program and were the physicians and hospital systems using our application.
Yeah,
So I felt that really, it really made a difference in
yeah, that's fantastic, Christian. And I love technology. I'm a technologist, but and most of the time it's solving personal needs or business needs. But to have an application that can actually save lives at the end of the day, that's amazing. So congratulations for that, and I hope that continues to progress as well. So that's
it's probably one of
fantastic.
the things I'm most proud about.
Yeah, I can see why. That's great. So we'll wrap with one final question. Since we're called Tech Champions, we love to ask, what's one characteristic that you think it takes to become a tech champion?
Above all, leadership of your people, leadership of technology for the company, being part of the leadership team. Just if I had it's probably its own discussion, but in general, I would say leadership would be the best thing.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. Leadership, absolutely, especially in IT. It's fantastic. So thank you, Christian, for coming on the show. If people wanted to reach out and learn more about what we've talked about today, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
They can visit the website, www.stratusneuro.com, and they can learn all about the services that we provide and how to get some in-home video.
Okay, that's great. And I'm sure, obviously, you're on LinkedIn as well, so people can find you there too. So thank you again, Christian, for being on the show. And thanks, everyone, for joining. I'm your host, Daniel Beaty. We'll see you next time on Tech Champions.